Welcome back to Melodic Memories of Light's Monarch. I'm Casey, and I just made it back from Chicago. If you listened to any episodes earlier, like the last one or last two, you'll already know that I was away in Chicago seeing MCR and System of a Down, but that was just like the tip of the iceberg. Honestly, there was a lot that happened, and this episode might be a little bit longer, but that's fine. I've got a lot to say, and it might be a little bit rambly here and there, but I hope you stick around because there was a lot that happened, and judging on the title, you already know this was the trip of my lifetime. I know that I have a lot of lifetime left to live, at least I hope so. Fucking knock on wood. But all that being said, I just I feel like I'm whole. Honestly. What a fucking trip, my god. How can I even function at this point, to be honest? Like, to go from getting there to Chicago and seeing Crystal to the exact same evening going on to see Ice Nine Kills perform a work of art, their Terrifier 3 song, which is personally one of my favorite songs, if not my favorite one. I think the only one that comes close would have to be their Scream song, Your Number's Up. Those two are definitely my favorite. I couldn't really tell you why, but I mean, obviously, a work of art. Terrifier, adore that franchise, whether that makes me seem insane or not. It's just one of my favorites, and the fact that they were able to make a song for the movie, like, that's nuts to me. Especially from coming from just making horror songs. Like, what a trip. I'm so proud of them. Even if I'm not the biggest Ice Nine Kills fan, it was wicked that they were able to do that and to see it performed live. Like some guy dressed up in a Terrifier costume, up on stage, playing drums, swinging around like an umbilical cord, and it, it sounds insane, but that's because it is. Absolutely wild. And he got the crowd to split. And it's the biggest split I've ever seen. Like, Wall of Death, 100%. It was the biggest sea of just emptiness. And then right when the music kicked in, everyone just slammed into each other. I obviously wasn't a part of it. I wanted to be, but with the flight and just being so, like, tired, I didn't really want to put myself in that, which, I kind of wish I did. Hopefully there's another time that I can see Ice Nine Kills and they play that song and do another Wall of Death, because I will be a part of it. But to be honest, just seeing it, like Crystal and I were standing at the back at the barricade by the sound booth, and it was, whew, I've never seen something that insane. And I've been to a lot of shows at this point, to be honest. So it was crazy. I had an amazing time being able to see that song alone, and that was just one of the songs they played. They did an amazing set. I want to say it was about an hour and a half to close to 2 hours. And again, they're not my favorite band in the world, but they put on an amazing show. The theatrical nature that they have is just so good. It shines through their performance live, and I know I'm not a fan of the direction they're going, and that's why I haven't really kept up to date with them or anything like that with the whole AI Matrix thing, but that song, a work of art, to die for. Anyways, they toured with Dayseeker, who honestly just made me bawl my eyes out. I thought of my grandma quite a bit with all the songs they were playing from Dark Sun. And even honestly, not that I cried to them, but their songs that they played for the new songs, not my favorite either, but a little bit better live, except for the creature from the Black Knight, or whichever it's called. I don't even really care to know the name of it, which is upsetting because it's the title track of their record. It just, his fuck me lyric, I can't get past that, and I might be alone in that. But looking around at the crowd, it seemed like I wasn't. It seemed like not many people were vibing along to it as hard as the other Dayseeker songs that were played, to be just completely honest on what I seen. I even videoed it, the song, and kind of showed the crowd. No one really vibed hard to it, not as much as the Dark Sun songs, not as much as the Sleep Talk songs. And I can't even think that they played much else other than from those two albums, which, granted, they are the most popular ones that they have, but they were kind of putting a heavy twist on everything. They were making all their more emotional songs, a lot heavier than normal, which was really cool to hear. And I'm glad I was able to see them. I don't know when the next time I'll be able to see them is, because they don't really come around to Canada much. They've only done so once, at least to Edmonton, and that's where I go for shows. So it be what it be, but I'm glad I got to see them. And the reason why the Dark Sun songs make me cry so hard and bawled my eyes out, like, so much so to the point it was kind of uncontrollable, which I didn't expect. I haven't listened to those songs in a while, but the reason they hit so hard is because like I lost my grandma to cancer, and it just, that's what those songs are about. Not necessarily him losing his grandma to cancer, but he lost someone, his father, I do believe, to cancer. And if it wasn't his father, then it was his brother. But regardless, he went through that pain, and it is so beautifully captured. Like, Dark Sun, I have to say, is a masterpiece in that realm, and it helped me a ton. More than I can even really put into words. Those songs helped me a lot get through just that pain, that emptiness, not to bring everything down. I'm going to move on, but it was a great set. Then Kim Dracula and Funeral Portrait, they're the ones that opened. Kim Dracula is not really my cup of tea, but it was cool to see him, especially after the wild time he had with his bus catching on fire. Like, I can't even fathom what that would be like to be on tour and have your whole everything in this bus. Like, he's not a big artist. I know he's big on TikTok to some extent. I don't even know how big, but just to know that he was almost like near death. He was in the bunk when it caught fire in his room. Like, if not for him being woken up, people pounding on the locked door in the tour bus, he'd be gone. He would have burned alive. And that is awful. Awful to think. I'm glad that he wasn't. And I hope that things start turning around, because that's really unfortunate. And there's no other way to like beat around the bush on that one. It's just insane that he made it, and luckily I was able to see them live. Like, I know I didn't appreciate it nearly as much as some of the people. Shout out to the girl doing the fucking Macarena to one of his songs. Couldn't tell you why, but she was having the time of her life. And it was fun. Like, it's not my cup of tea. It's not something I would go out of my way to listen to. I won't lie, it kind of sounded like a bit of noise to me rather than music, but that is, again, the beauty of music. You take what you want. You like it, that's great. I don't, that's fine. I don't have to listen to it. But I got to hear it live, and it was something to experience, and I appreciate just being able to do so. Then Funeral Portrait, I don't even know what to say about them. They're really cool. I don't know much of their music aside from their new album. Maybe they have more music to check out. I know their new album was kind of their first go at it, I believe, and I don't even know much about them, but I was able to hear the songs live, which was really cool, and they put on a really good performance for being the first openers. They had like a 30-minute set, and then afterwards, as most smaller bands do, they went, well, at least the singer went to the merch table and was there for us to talk to. Granted, I didn't really get to talk to him because Kim Dracula was a little too loud. He started when we were in line to go meet him, but I gotta give the man props. I don't know the Funeral Portrait singer's name, but I give him props because he had proper, like, actual proper conversations with people. It wasn't just a, hey, take a photo, goodbye. Even though that's what I got, it's just because I didn't choose to stand there and try to yell over the music, because Kim Dracula's loud. But he actually gave the time of day to his fans. And I know that a lot of smaller artists do that, but some of them don't. And to just see the the humbleness, if you will, I know that probably isn't a word, but that really shined through everything. And even their performance, like, it just seems like they are genuine people. And I don't even know them. Again, their music isn't something I listen to on the daily. But what I do know of them, I do very much enjoy. And this might be a hot take, but they kind of remind me of a more edgy, screamier Fall Out Boy, which is, take that with a grain of salt. But seeing them perform live, it definitely gave me that vibe. Just a lot of good energy, and I very much like their performance. The funeral portrait did not disappoint. And then, obviously, to the next day after that whole concert, which again was insane, it was the Hell of a Summer Tour, which, perfect name. I have the shirt on right now, and it's really cool. I got a lot of shirts, though. So don't go thinking this one's my favorite, by any means. I think I got, I'd have to count, but there was at least 10 to maybe even 20 shirts. And it's not even the ones I bought. That might be an exaggeration, maybe 10 to 15, because Crystal, blessed be, she surprised me with a bunch of shirts that she just bought over the last, year, I guess, since the last time I seen her. So not a year, but last few months. And they're all from shows that she went to that I couldn't. Or I believe there was a Linkin Park one, Amity Affliction, Halsey. I'm even forgetting. I'm blanking on a couple, but the Black Veil Bride's shirt. Hello, the Black Veil Bride. So I will get into that in a moment because there's a story along with the Black Veil Bride shirt. But it was the original shirt that I wanted from them, from their website during the Black Veil Brides 4 era. And I finally got it. Blown away. But she gave me a bunch of gifts. And again, I'm not somebody that needs gifts. I don't even really ask for them, but she's just sweet enough to do so. And I gotta say, thank you, Crystal, for more than just the gifts. But to get back on track, the next day, after our travels back to Chicago, because we just took the whole day to get back there, it was in Wisconsin, was the Hell of a Summer Tour show date that we seen. The next day, though, after the trip back, because we didn't do a whole lot aside from drive home, I know that we kind of had a little adventure here and there, but the next one was the big one. The big one that I was the most excited for. And I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't let down. I know I was a little bit worried about the artistic integrity of this whole show, but my God, it blew my expectations out of the water. I understand why they did what they did. I understand why it's back. It's a commentary on the state of the world, especially the United States. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you probably don't follow them. But it was My Chemical Romance, the Long Live the Black Parade Tour. Now, Long Live the Black Parade Tour, it was, again, insane. I wasn't disappointed at all. I got to see MCR play the fucking Black Parade in full. That is an emo dream come true, let me tell you. Because when else would I be able to see something like that? MCR is the emo band, at least for the mall goths out there, the mall emos, if you will. Especially, that's what they were kind of called back in, I think, 2006. Kind of the same era as, Panic at the Disco, even The Used, that kind of emo Fall Out Boy, but MCR was always kind of the top of the top dogs with Black Parade, especially that album. And I know that some people might say their other albums are better, but you can't deny that Black Parade is probably their most iconic. Why else are they touring it again in this capacity? And to see the tour, I'm not going to give spoilers for every last thing, but the things that kind of stood out that I want to talk about, it was just very intriguing to see that they were like, hey, crowd, fans, think a little bit. They created this whole world, which is impressive. Very, very impressive. I know they kind of already created the world with the album back when it first came out, but with that even being said, the tour itself, it added an entire language. They made an entire language for just the tour. Now, maybe they're going to do more after this. We don't know. Nobody does. But they made an entire language. They ended up making a national anthem for drag, which is, I guess, the country or the city that they're from. And I know in the story, the lore of the Black Parade is MCR. That is the name of the band in the lore of the album. And they play their songs, and, it is what it is. If you know the album, I shouldn't have to explain it. And for those that don't, I don't even want to explain it. Just go listen to it. It's worth it. I promise. It's definitely one of those albums that needs to be heard at least once if you're into rock and roll music. Like, if you haven't heard it, you're doing yourself a disservice. But that's me being on my high horse. To say that they did a good job would be an understatement. They had a lot to say, and they were able to say it through the imagery that they produced on screen behind them and through the performances in between the songs. Even with the songs and the way that it was performed, it was very intriguing because I didn't understand that that's what it was. I kept away from a lot of it, aside from hearing that it was causing a lot of like discourse amongst people. But to see it in person and to see that Gerard himself and the rest of the band were kind of being forced in a quote unquote forced sense, not like they're realistically being forced, but in the terms of context of the story, they were being forced to perform this album in full for this dictator. And I mean, if you know the state of the world, I'm not going to say it, but it really reflects on something that's going on right now and have probably always went on, even in past, in different countries. But being that this tour is traveling through the United States, I know that it had a Toronto date, but specifically the US, like, it's some commentary on the state of the world right now. And within the performance, like, I gotta say, they ended up killing these innocent people, or at least what seemed to be innocent people. Maybe they were government officials, ones that the dictator didn't like. I know in the performance of the show, Gerard stopped and asked them, the people in the pit at least and on the floor, asked them to pick up the black and red poster cards that they were given, I guess. And you know, the most of them were red with the, I believe it said YEA on it. I don't know if that's yeah or it's something in their own language. I don't know, but it meant yes, kill them. And that's exactly what happened. A big explosion went off and these people fell over and died. At least in the terms of the story, they're still alive, don't worry. But even Gerard, towards the end of the show, he himself was killed. And I know that might be a spoiler, but I hope it isn't. Sorry if it is. But I know that people already have tweeted about it. I seen it on Twitter myself, and it was out of context, and people actually took it as the fact he died. Gerard Way is still alive, but in the story of the tour, he got stabbed and killed right as he crawled with the final breaths that he had to push the button and explode the entire world. At least that's how it seemed. And then, you know, the rest of the band, they got bags thrown over their heads, drug off stage, presumably to go perform the next show or be held captive. God knows, maybe they were killed too. But the show ended with the clown, the jester, if you will, with a bomb strapped to his chest. And he exploded himself and killed the dictator along with him, I believe. That's kind of what I took from it anyways. It just like a final hurrah, final explosion, because death sells. Death is what people want. That's what the dictator himself wants. He wants to see the death. And it was very moving in a sense if you're able to open yourself up to that. I know it's not for everyone. It is very political. I know some people, I even overheard say it reminded them of like the Hunger Games universe with the districts and stuff. And I mean, whatever people think of it, however they take it, that's the point. I do believe Gerard Way and the whole band wanted to spark a conversation and make people think. And I think they did a good job, especially amongst their own fan base. Not only that, but it was also just a lot of fun in general. It was amazing to finally see Disenchanted. Hello. That is one of my favorite, like top favorite Black Parade songs and MCR songs in general. I did not expect or even begin to expect that they not only played that, but also one of my top favorite songs later on in the evening when they went to the smaller center stage, which is where the people that I mentioned earlier were killed off, and also where this lady, she had a cello or a violin, I'm not sure which instrument to call it, or which one it was, but regardless, she did an amazing, beautiful tribute to Bob Breyer, which is the drummer for the Black Parade. Back when they recorded it, I know that he might not be the best guy in terms of, like, you know, just everything that he's said and done. I don't know his whole life story, and I don't think anyone does. But they did an amazing, beautiful tribute. It was his hometown. Chicago is his hometown. And I gotta say, respect. Though, one thing to say about that, not respect to the crowd. Respect to the lady, respect to MCR. But the crowd, my God, are you some of the most disrespectful fucking people ever. And I say that with my whole heart because it made me really upset. Not gonna lie. I was trying to listen to the beautiful music, the actual tribute that they were doing, that she was doing for this man, and everyone was talking over it. I don't think people gave two shits until she would stop. They would clap like they were listening. And it just is upsetting. Like, people don't appreciate music. And I guess that's just me. That is just definitely a me thing. But to see it on that such a large scale, like, I can't even imagine what the lady felt when she was trying to play that. Like, I'm not stupid. I know she heard people talking. It's a giant stadium. I could hardly hear the music over people just yapping. Like, appreciate the music, damn it. Fuck. But to get off of that tangent before I go down that road, getting disenchanted and then them coming back to the smaller center stage after all is said and done with their Long Live the Black Parade performance, which again, I must say was amazing. I couldn't have seen it coming with the effort that they put into the world they created, from their own original language again to the fact that they were seemingly being forced to perform for this dictator against their will, and then again drug off stage with bags literally over their heads, and Gerard was killed. Like, he hit that nuke button and exploded it all, and the jester finished the job with a bomb strapped to his chest. It was just the imagery, like all of the imagery that they were able to do. And that's not even to mention again earlier that the people that sentenced the people in the crowd that sentenced these people to death. Like, I know it wasn't a real death, but that's what it was. And it's just something that's going to stick with me for a long time because it made me think and feel. Then, and that's not even to mention the songs that they played, which again, I'm getting to. But then before the center stage show, where they played some of their greatest hits amongst a mix of deep cuts, one in which caught me extremely off guard, again, was a loving tribute to their past drummer that originally played during the recording of the Black Parade, in his hometown of Chicago nonetheless. And I know I've already kind of said that, but I need to just reaffirm that it was beautiful. It was everything that I could have hoped for, and I wish people, at least more people, were paying attention to the tribute as the lady playing the violin or cello. It was just amazing. She was putting her whole heart and soul into it, and it's something that I wish I could have heard just kind of echo through the silence of the people, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. That was the only downside to the show, and it wasn't even their fault. It was the people watching the show talking over the music. So what can you do? But again, I keep going on a tangent, my God. Then to their songs afterwards, they did play many that Crystal and I just were going off hearing, like Na 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 Na, stuff from their Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge album, even some deep cuts from I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love. Like, it was a career spanning small set list, but they ended up playing The World Is Ugly. The World Is Ugly. Wow. Just wow. Even saying it, even thinking about it right now is giving me literal goosebumps. That song is one of my top favorite. I can't even say it is one of. It is my favorite MCR song they have ever made. And I didn't think that many people knew it. You know, like, it's towards the end of their career. I believe it is number 3 of their EPs, or at least duologies, if you will, that they were releasing at the time before they actually hung it up. And number 3 is my favorite. Like, it has The World Is Ugly and The Light Behind Your Eyes, both amazingly beautiful, fucking heart-wrenching songs. But to hear The World Is Ugly and to hear the story behind them writing it, I guess the snow was falling when they wrote it overseas, and I was in awe. Like, I had a moment where I just was kind of like hyperventilating, not gonna lie, and jaw dropped. Like, I had to kind of put myself back into the show, and because it just was like, wait, what? Like, I had one of those moments, and then it ended up taking me a little bit to get into the song that they played afterwards, because they didn't give much of a break at all, and I had to sit. I had to sit and hold my head in my hands and just cry a little bit before I really was able to get back up and start singing and rocking out again, because I never would have expected in my lifetime to ever hear that song live. It's not one that they would normally play, at least according to them, and just thinking about it, like, again, it feels like a deep cut. Along with Scarecrow, they played Scarecrow. Wild. But The World Is Ugly, that is my favorite song, and I mean, I can keep on going on and saying that, but it's not going to change the fact that I can't really even put into words how that felt. I couldn't process it, to be honest, like that it was actually starting, and to be able to scream it all through live with the band, I couldn't have asked for more after just hearing my second favorite, which was Disenchanted. Like, it literally just felt like moments earlier that I heard that song, and then to go to this one, oh my god. Also, to think the show was nearing 3 hours long, you couldn't even make me believe that, as it went by in but a blink. And to be honest, it was the highlight show, if you will, of my trip. I couldn't have asked for more. And all of the shows were insane, because then the next day, we had but a moment where I met Crystal's family, which, may I say, they are so very lovely and fun. Amazing people. I honestly had no idea what to expect, with the stereotypes of America and its people, but I was happily surprised and happy I was welcomed with such open arms into that family and into that family event, because it was her mom's birthday. I even won a gift because they did some birthday games, and I got myself a portable fridge, I believe is what it was, and some ankle socks. First ever pair of ankle socks, which was kind of weird to feel like, it might be even more weird that it is my first pair of ankle socks at 26 years old, but hey, don't judge me, please and thank you. And honestly, I wouldn't have asked for anything more, and yet Crystal surprised me with yet another show that night. So we ended up leaving a little bit early. Granted, it wasn't so much early. People were winding down for the evening. It was around, I think 6 o'clock is when we ended up, or maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock is when we left. And this time the show was Falling in Reverse, alongside Slaughter to Prevail, Hollywood Undead, and Sleep Theory. Now, we missed most of Sleep Theory, but I can't even complain, as it seems we caught 2 out of the 5 songs or so that they played. Just judging off of what people in the crowd were saying anyways. We asked and they're like, yeah, they only played like 5 songs, is a little upsetting, but hey, we still got to see at least 2 of them, which was good. We ended up being a little bit late because Ticketmaster gave Crystal an email that said the show time started later, and then lo and behold, it actually didn't, and it was just kind of a shit show. Ticketmaster didn't follow through with a proper email, or at least not to her. And there was proof, like, she did not have that email, even if other people did. Regardless, we got to see Sleep Theory for the first little bit, the end of their set, and then the next set was Hollywood Undead. And, I mean, what can I even say about Hollywood Undead that I haven't said before? Because I have seen them before at the Rockzilla tour with Falling in Reverse, of all people, and I believe Papa Roach, so it was a little bit of a different lineup, different vibe, but they were the next to play. And also, before I forget, to the lady that sat next to me, that liked my Black Veil Bride shirt, the one that I mentioned, the one that I always had wanted, and started up a conversation with such, thank you for making my day in that sense, as I always love getting conversations about Black Veil, obviously. And the fact it was brought up completely off guard, I was happy. I was just straight up happy because I wore that Heart of Fire shirt. And it's one that I, again, wanted for years. Literally, my teenage self was screaming when Crystal gifted it to me. I seen no one else with any Black Veil merch on in the whole show. All of Tinley Park, there was nobody. And to know that I was seen and talked to after telling Crystal literal moments earlier on how no one ever wears, or at least I didn't, see anyone wearing any BVB merch at this show, to get a conversation brought up was lovely, and she was just as such. I hope both her and her kiddo enjoyed the show, and to the performances of Hollywood Undead, they were fun as always, even if they were most certainly half cut or even further gone by the time they hit the stage. But they put on a good show all the same. They pulled a kid up on stage and he flipped off the crowd and said, "What's up, motherfuckers?" Like, it was a Hollywood Undead show. I believe they have it scripted at this point because I think it was the exact same as when I seen them with Paul. And I can't say it's really a fault. It's just interesting to notice it because I hadn't even imagined I would see them again. And to have seen them twice is more than I ever thought I would have. So Hollywood Undead, a solid act. They're Hollywood Undead. If you know them, you know they are what they are. Though, they did play their new songs, which kind of caught me off guard. I didn't expect to hear Savior, and I don't think they played Hollywood Forever, but Savior they did play. And that one is a very good one, much heavier than normal for them, and their whole set was kind of heavier. I guess they felt they had to match the vibe, I'm not exactly sure. But To Slaughter to Prevail, who played next, my god. I don't think I ever have heard a more powerful live band. And I don't know if Paul, my buddy, has told me the truth about Alex Terrible and how he wrestles bears back in Russia, but I'd fucking believe it. Because, wow, what a man. Just first off, if you don't know what he looks like, look up a picture, because holy shit. He had not only the body to wrestle bears, but he had such a powerful voice. There was even a moment in the show where he yelled for the crowd to shut the fuck up, and without the mic, he roared. I heard him. Crystal did too. We heard him through our earplugs, because we were wearing them. Thank God we were, because they were loud, but in a good way. Like, they were metal loud, obviously. Loud in a good way. But we could hear him scream that, without the mic, through our earplugs with being in the seated section at Tinley. Not that we were super far back by any means, but wow, was it ever impressive, and honestly it made me realize I need to check out their newest album now more than ever. Then when Falling in Reverse came on, they killed it just as well. I'm so conflicted, to be honest, with Ronnie and the things that he says and does sometimes, but I can't disregard the man's talent and skill for the stage, music, and his audience. It's absolutely incredible to say the least, and to know that he was recording, or at least they were recording the entire Tinley show, is wicked. I need to see when it gets posted, or if it gets posted. I'm not sure where it will be, probably YouTube. But there were many standouts to him playing Situations. Yes, situations are irrelevant now. Like, fuck, I love that old Escape the Fate song. Then to the aggressive release of Popular Monster, to him walking around the entire venue, the whole crowd, and meeting the kids saying how they're the future of rock and roll, to my favorite part of the evening being Tech Nine. Bringing Tech Nine out on stage for his part in Ronald? Like, fuck, what? I wouldn't have expected it, because Tech wasn't even on the tour. Not on the roster at all, but he came out to rap his verse. The one verse that he has, all the same, and the visual of him as God in between Ronnie and Alex was something else. I would have never imagined to see Tech on stage rapping, because I missed the tour where he ended up touring with Tech Nine, because it didn't come here. We didn't get Falling in Reverse coming to Canada with Tech Nine. I know it's a tour that happened in the States, but it never came close. So to finally get that, the legend that Tech Nine is, and see it done live, mwah, chef's kiss. I loved it. That was the highlight of that show for me personally. And then to get Alex coming on stage, Alex Terrible, to sing his part as the demons fight back and forth. Wow. Like, just wow. Then they even played the Slaughter to Prevail song with Ronnie featured during Falling's set. Like, it was an insane time that I never thought I would have enjoyed so much. And I'm glad that I went. I'm very glad that Crystal surprised me with that. I know I was a little iffy when I heard, oh, hey, it's Falling in Reverse. But, I do love their old music and their new album. I can't lie, I enjoyed it. I might not agree with the man and what he says, but I feel like his music, he stands for what he believes, and his music is objectively good. I'm not so much into his newer singles, so I don't think I have to continue following him, unless if, it's shown to me by Paul, because I know Paul likes him. But I think my whole Falling in Reverse journey can finally come to a close to some extent, because I not only was able to see them perform live, but I was actually able to see and find Just Like You on vinyl. So now I have all the records, at least all the ones that I want. Like, I have their first record all the way to Ronald, including Coming Home, which is my favorite record of theirs, mind you. So it was just, again, something that was very fitting. I'm glad that I got to see it. It felt like a full circle finally closed. A chapter closed, if you will. And it was awesome. Then the next day, we got to see the big System of a Down show with Avenged Sevenfold and Polyphia and Wisp. Wisp was very, very intriguing. I very much liked them. I didn't know what to expect, because I don't know their music at all. But the name, it speaks volumes. They are very wispy in their sound. The legends themselves, though, the fucking System of a Down, it was insane. Though again, Wisp, they were awesome, and I had no idea what to expect with them because I didn't know them, but I wasn't let down at all, not in the slightest. And Polyphia was surprisingly only instrumental. Like, that caught both Crystal and I off guard, like so off guard, but they have their own audience, and I gotta say, hats off to them to have such a large stage, a stage so large, to just riff their hearts out. It was impressive. And then A7X, Avenged Sevenfold, the boys. They're not exactly one of my favorites, though that's more so because of their most recent efforts, being their most recent album, and even more so because of their whole NFT thing, and to my surprise, the use of AI during their show. Like, I'm not a fan of AI at all. That being used at the show, like, yeah, it was neat to see, but like, no. No, keep AI out of art, please. Please. Like, I get it. I get its purpose. They had like an AI overlay on the screens next to them, and it showed them as different creatures, like demons. One of them even showed them as like women. It was a little strange. Even the Call of Duty song, which they played, the song that they made for Black Ops, showed them as zombies. Again, it was cool, but it's just not something I vibe with. I'm not a fan, and it turned me off quite a bit, though I can't deny that they were bangers that they played. Like, they have bangers, and they did play them. And again, they ended up playing their song they made for Call of Duty Black Ops, which I know people went wild for. It's fans' favorite, like a fan favorite anyways. And they said that they don't usually play it live. It was one of the few songs that they ended up playing that night and skipped the next night because they were trying to make it unique for every person that went. But that wasn't the one that got me really hyped, because the one that they played for me, or at least the one that I got really like emotional and crazy for, I never thought again that I would hear this one live, but they played So Far Away. Yeah, So Far Away. Like, that song I know means a lot to them as a band. It's for their fallen brother. It also means a lot to me. Like, that song is one that I know I have cried to, and I cried to hearing it live as well. And I don't know if they play that one live often, but it's not one I would have expected with it being a System of a Down show. I know System of a Down has their more emotional songs, which they did play, at least a couple of them, but it just caught me off guard because earlier, while we were driving to Soldier Field to go see them, I showed Crystal that song, and I told her, I don't think they would ever play this live, at least not in this show. I don't think it's really... Maybe if it was their own headlining show, they might play it, but I don't think we're going to hear it tonight, but I need to show you because it's my favorite. And they played it. They did it. And it's just something that caught me so off guard, the same way that MCR caught me off guard, in the same way that Falling in Reverse caught me off guard, and even the work of art performance with The Wall of Death. Again, every single show that I was able to see, they all did one song in particular that just blew my mind and made my heart, my soul happy. It was just such a fulfilling trip. But again, I'm far from being over. I had honestly no idea, nor any semblance of a thought that they'd play that, as it's such a stripped back emotional ballad for their fallen brother, but my God, they said they were going to play a certain few songs tonight and the others the next, and I got lucky enough that the first show they played those two. I would die for that song, and I was very happy, in the most emotional of ways, of course, but I was very happy that I was able to have heard it. And the fact that I even showed Crystal, as I mentioned, to say that the odds are low that we would even hear it, but then lo and behold, they played it with the crowd singing it right back at them. It was just a very lovely thing to be a part of. Very emotional, of course, but very lovely all the same. I know I hadn't cared for their newest album much, but that's honestly okay. I still really don't, but it was what it was. Avenged Sevenfold isn't a band that I really need to see ever again, except for Noah. I will eventually see them again with him because it's his favorite band. And I do want to give that to him, to be able to see someone as meaningful as that to him. I wish I could have brought him along or even FaceTimed him or something, but regardless, I took a lot of videos. But it was a great set overall, and the main act was what made the show such a memorable affair. Now, I could go on about the songs that they had played, what System played, but truthfully, I don't really know many of the names aside from the main few being Chop Suey and, Toxicity, which they ended up closing with, and my favorite, Aerials, but they played also the emotional ones, being the Hollywood, Goodbye Hollywood or Death in Hollywood. I apologize, I'm butchering it, absolutely butchering it, but I wanted to pull up Setlist FM, but I know this episode's gonna be long as is, and I just want to go off my memory. I really want it to be authentic, and that's why I'm not really saying every single song every band played. If I did, we'd be here forever. But it was just that really emotional ballad that they ended up doing, and they even played the song where that ended up getting a little bit popular on TikTok, I believe, the "And if I go, I will go with you, and if I die, I will die with you." I'm butchering the lyrics again, but the one that makes you cry. They did their best. Their System of a fucking Down. What more do I have to say other than that? I can't even call myself a fan because, again, I don't know the names of their songs. I don't know a lot of their music, but I do know Logan. Shout out to him. Love you, buddy. He showed me a lot of their songs, and so has Paul. And just to know that I was able to see such legends perform and feel their legendary status through their performance, that was wild. MCR was one thing, they're legends in their own right, and also bringing a legend on stage with them, which I fucking glanced over, holy shit. They ended up bringing the Smashing Pumpkins singer out on stage for the end of the show to play Bullet with Butterfly Wings. Not only is that amazing, Crystal lost her shit. Not only is that amazing, though, it's just so fulfilling for them as a band. They looked up to that man. That song, that show that they were able to see years ago inspired them to make MCR what it was. I know there's other inspirations too, the whole 9/11 thing and everything like that, but Smashing Pumpkins was a part of that. And to have them be able to perform a song like that, a duet version of that song, wild. Props to them. It makes my heart happy to know that they were able to get that, because That's something I want. I want to be able to perform with the people I look up to, the ones that mean something to me, you know, and I get it. I totally get it. Props to them. But again, to System of a Down, they played a lot of songs that people were just screaming. Like, the energy of this crowd was insane. And the band themselves, they just have an energy to them that screams absolute legends. Both of us enjoyed that show so much, and they even tributed Ozzy. Yes, Ozzy Osbourne, the legend himself, with Snowblind. Just legends respecting a fallen legend, and I couldn't be more happier and honored to say I seen System of a Down, which I know many can't, but it was insane. And to say that this whole trip has just left my heart filled and feel full would be an understatement. Completely. Because I'm just going to be entirely and forever, eternally grateful for all of this. The trip in its entirety had been like a dream come true, from all of the shows to seeing the world's largest arcade the one other night after all of the shows, which was insane amongst itself. Like, it had 3 buildings connected together, literal arcade cabinets as far as you could see, and even further into the next room, and then the next room. Like, it just didn't end. I know obviously it did, and being unrealistic, but it felt like a kid in a candy store. Like, it was nuts. Huge building and so many arcade cabinets. It was called the world's biggest arcade, or world's largest arcade. Like, enough said on that. Like, insane. If you get a chance to look them up, just do so, because you won't regret it. I believe it was called Galloping Ghost Arcade, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I'm right in saying that, but just search up world's largest arcade in Chicago. You'll see it. And it was insane. And not only that, but they had a pinball store or pinball area down a couple blocks, and that was so cool to see. Like, literal old pinball machines. It was just something of the time that I know I wouldn't have been able to see otherwise, and the fact I was able to experience that was just, again, I know I'm saying it a lot, but fucking cool. Then to going shopping for records and video games, in which I honestly found quite a few. And the biggest left field find that I would have to mention would have to be Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. Now, granted, it was the Ultimate Hits version, but it was mine the exact moment I laid eyes upon it. Like, Crystal knew I seen something Kingdom Hearts related because I bolted to it. The moment I seen it, it called to me. But I wouldn't have ever imagined to find that. Like, how would I? It's a Japanese exclusive. It's an imported game. Like, someone imported that game and traded it in at the used game store? And even more so, to think that we almost didn't go to that one video game store. Like, it was meant to be. Truly, it was meant to be. And then the zoo that we were able to go see, Brookfield Zoo, in which we were able to see all of the different animals, the gorillas, which one made a little pillow for his head and leaned up against the glass, absolutely adorable, to the highlight of the zoo for me, the Humboldt penguins, and learning even more about them. And I know I was able to see them last time I went to Chicago, but if I had a choice, I would go see those little dudes all the time. I adore penguins. It's no surprise to people that know me. And I was even able to buy myself a penguin sweater. Not something that I would normally see myself wearing in terms of, like, you know, it's definitely in your face and out there, but I couldn't say no to it. I literally spent like half an hour pacing, thinking about it. And Crystal's like, you know, you should probably just get it at this point. Like, it was expensive. It was like $55. Not that it so much matters, but it was something that just, again, called to me. And I love penguins. To be able to see the little dudes and get the sweater for myself, it was, again, fucking cool. And the animals that we were able to see, with the ultimate highlight being the penguins and meeting them again. If you're able to and find yourself in Brookfield Zoo, I'd most certainly recommend, because those little dudes are just so fun and so cute. And one even tried eating the umbrella that Crystal brought, and the other tried eating my hair. Like, it was dangling a little bit, and luckily I caught it just in time, because he would have yanked it and probably ripped my hair out. So thank God I was able to catch that. But they're just silly little guys. So maybe put your hair up if you have long hair. Grab a hair tie, put it up. Go meet them. Go pet their little backs and see them waddle around and play with bubbles and toys. It is. I know it sounds silly, and again, zoos in general, I personally have a little bit of a hard time supporting zoos because I don't know. It always leaves me conflicted. It leaves me feeling conflicted about just the simple fact of the matter that these animals are in captivity and they deserve to live their life outside of it. And for these animals to kind of be made like a spectacle, I know that some of them are beautiful. All of them are beautiful. It's just leaves me so conflicted in like, how else would I see these animals, for one? And is it right doing this? Like, to put them on display like this when every time you go, you always see one or two animals, if not a lot of them, that just look upset and like they don't want to be there. And I know that wasn't the case for every animal in the whole place, but for the ones that do know the wild and, you know, don't want to be there, like even some of the gorillas that we seen, it was sad. You could see that like they weren't exactly happy, and maybe that's just me reading too much into things, because I honestly, you can't know, they're animals, they don't speak, but you know, it's something that leaves me feeling conflicted. And all that to be said, though, it is something that I'd recommend people going to do and experiencing at least once, especially the penguin thing, because the penguins, they don't look upset, they look happy to see you and everything like that, and just the little goofballs. But in a way, to buy a ticket and donate to these causes and hope that it goes to the actual animals and everything like that, I feel like that's a good thing. And if these animals are being protected from, you know, the world, then that in itself is good. And I might be trying to justify it to myself a little bit too much, but I just kind of had to mention that, yeah, I do feel conflicted, but I did have a good time there. And to see the animals in the way that I did with them when they were happy, and again, the penguins, my God, it was a great time. And I'm glad that I was able to do that and get myself a little penguin sweater to remember the trip. And I don't know, next time I go back, I'll probably meet the penguins again because they're my favorite animal as I kind of am drilling home. But it was a lot of fun. And then afterwards, one of the other days, because again, they all kind of blur together, but Crystal, she surprised me even more with a trip to the museum. I don't remember the exact name of the museum. It wasn't the big museum that I went to last time and got to see the dinosaur bones and the life and death exhibit, and there's a bunch of other things in there. My God, I'm just kind of going through my memories right now as I'm saying it, but she surprised me with a trip to the museum in which we ended up being able to walk inside of a German submarine that was actually used in World War II. It was captured by the US years and years ago, like 1954. It's towards the end of the war anyways. And it found its way to Chicago because of the captain, I believe, of the US vessel that captured it, wanted to bring it back to his hometown. And they were able to do so. They plopped it right in front of the museum way back in the day. And around 2004, they ended up actually digging out a big hole and putting it in the hole and building like a building around it to keep it preserved, as it is a historical monument for the United States and for Chicago now. And it's just something really cool to see. I'm not much of like a war buff. I don't like war in general. But when else would you see something like that? And to be able to like be inside of a literal submarine that has such history to it, it was awe-inspiring and just, I want to say cool, but cool is not the word. I would have to say awe-inspiring, to just feel it. Like you felt that it was real, because it was. And again, war, not something I condone. I don't enjoy it. It makes me sad. But that was something that I never would have expected to experience, and to have experienced and seen it. Let me just say I'm grateful for living the life I'm able to live. And for them to have that and all of the things in that war exhibit that they had for that submarine, keep it as a memory. So hopefully we don't have to, ever have us or our children or our children's children, if we make it that far, have to suffer those kinds of things. I know technology is vastly different from back then, but all the same, it's something that I hope we never have to make that same mistake about. I know the world is the world and people are people and people kind of suck. So we'll see what happens. Day by day, hold the ones you love close, but gotta stay hopeful, right? And now, even though it was a little sad to think of the death it had caused over the time that it was a vessel on the ocean, it's just something to talk about for another time. Also, at the museum, there was even a Spider-Man exhibit, which honestly blew me away. They had many things all throughout highlighting the web crawler's entire history, and it even had some props and costumes from the films, like Tom Holland's costume from Far From Home, and also, not only that, maybe it was No Way Home, but regardless, the Tom Holland costume, they had Green Goblin's mask and Pumpkin Bomb, alongside a bust of Venom and the Lizard, and different little things like, I believe Tony Stark's glasses were there too from the Spider-Man movie. And I know it's a lot of nerdy things, but it was a Spider-Man exhibit from the first interpretation in Amazing Fantasy all the way to modern day, with the whole Spider-Verse and everything going around, with Miles Morales and even Spider-Gwen and the multitude of Spider-Men and women that are out there now. Like, it highlighted every chapter of that story and every, big moment. And to see it all captured in a museum was nuts. Not to mention also, I have to at least say this, because my dad, love you dad, obviously, many memories from him with superheroes in general, but one in particular, and I might have mentioned it in a previous episode. If I hadn't, then guess you're getting the inside scoop. But the original 1967 Spider-Man series, I believe it was 67, regardless, 60 series of Spider-Man, the cartoon, that is a thing they had in the actual museum themselves. It was a little screen that played the theme song and showed the, the theme song video, the video accompanying the song, if you will. That song means a lot to me. And it's something that actually made me tear up while I was listening to it, because they had little headphones you could put up to your ear and hear it. And it made me really emotional, because that is a song that my dad would sing to me. And I talked to him on the phone afterwards, and when I got home at least, and he remembers it too. He would swing me on the swing set. I was probably 2-3 years old, very little. And it's such a core memory. Thinking about it is making me want to cry right now. So I'm going to try to hold back those tears. But he would swing me on the swing set and sing that song to me. And that is one of the biggest reasons Spider-Man is what he is to me. I know he's not my favorite superhero. He is my favorite Marvel superhero. Superman is my favorite superhero, but if it wasn't for my dad, I probably wouldn't have the connection with superheroes that I do, especially Spider-Man. And to see all of that in the history that he has as a character and what it has turned into, the universe that it has created, the Spider-Verse, it's inspiring, to say the least. I was very, very happy with being surprised by that, because I didn't even know that existed. Why would you think to go to a museum and see a Spider-Man exhibit? Hello? Who? Who in their right mind would think that? But they did it, and it was so cool to see. Also, on top of that, I was able to see the Ninja Turtles, the first Ninja Turtle movie. Yes, the original, in theaters, the very last day it was in theaters. That was so cool. I didn't expect to be able to have that chance, but they extended it just the right amount of time for when I got there. We went and watched it, which I believe that's what we did the day after the Ice 9 show. So on our way back to Chicago, a lot of fun. So happy I was able to see that, and with one of the biggest Ninja Turtle fans I know. Like, she also shared which this is a deep cut. Most people don't even know this exists, and I don't even know the full name of it, but there's a Ninja Turtle concert, a Ninja Turtle concert movie where, yes, the Ninja Turtles have instruments, and they sing and dance and play. Like, it was originally a pay-per-view broadcast that ended up being put on VHS, and Crystal, being who she is and loving it the way she does, she ended up transferring it from VHS to DVD just to be able to watch it in a easier format, and not have to worry about the VHS, wearing away as cassette tapes. They're nearing their end of life, especially ones from, early 80s, which I don't believe this one was. I think it's a 90s performance, but all the same, it's something that I never thought I would be able to see. I've heard her talk about it before, but the fact to actually watch it, that was cool. Like, I didn't expect much of it, aside from, it's her thing, she loves it, and to actually have seen it and enjoy it. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And then I even went down the rabbit hole and found other ones that exist. Really cool, and I'm glad that she showed that to me. Thank you, Crystal. And to anyone that does know what that is, the Out of Their Shells tour, I believe is what it was called, let me know. Hit me up at Lights Monarch and tell me about it, because I would love to hear it alongside anything else from this episode, because honestly, I've been rambling and talking about this trip for like over an hour now, and I feel like I've only just scratched the surface, because there's still more little details, little nuances, and things that we did. Like, when I say it was a trip of my lifetime, I'm being honest. Like, it was something that was so, like, something that I'm so happy, a trip that I'm so happy I was able to go on. And I know it was only 10 days, but it feels like I lived like a month. It feels insane. It feels weird to be home, because it feels like I've been away for a long time, but I know that's not the case. It's just because every day was jam-packed with something, be it us going to our families to go swimming in their new pool, to going and exploring the city and finding these record stores and video game stores and the arcade and all the concerts, and it was just an overwhelming overload of so much good, and it just is so happy to reminisce about. And I guess that's kind of why I'm talking about it right now, because it's something that I don't ever want to forget. And with this podcast, I'm able to have it. If I ever want to relive these memories, I can listen to myself yap. Whether you guys like it or not, I hope you do, but I can listen to myself and hear all of these and just be brought back to it. And I'm just very happy. I'm emotional. Don't mind me. Though, again, I feel like I'm scratching just the surface of all of it, because the very last day, the last day, September 6th, I flew back home on the 7th, to kind of give you an idea. That last day we went to Aurora, Illinois, to Super Jumbo Records. Shout out to them, amazing record store. I haven't actually been in a record store like that. It's probably my favorite record store I've ever been in, to be perfectly honest. Like, purely record store, not like Sunrise, where it's more of a media kind of, like, yes, it has records and I call it a record store because it's Sunrise Records, but it has way more than that. This store, Super Jumbo Records, it had some merchandise for them and some toys and such here and there, but its main focus was the music, the records and CDs. And again, just one of my favorites I've ever been into. If you get a chance, if you're in the area in Illinois, specifically Aurora, which I didn't even know they had a town called that. Love the name, for many reasons and some personal ones too. But the store itself, very cool. But we went there, rambles aside, we went there for the early listening party for fucking Breach. 21 Pilot's new album, Breach. And no, I'm not going to give spoilers for anything here. I wrote down what I thought of the album the first listen, which I will share next episode, because the album comes out on Friday. Again, this is spoiler free. I'm not going to fuck it up for anyone that's holding out or didn't get to go listen to it. And I mean, if you made it to this far in the episode, props to you. But I do have all my thoughts written down here, and it's about a paragraph long, probably a little bit longer, more so like a short book. Just first thoughts, though, and I would love to share them. And if anyone wants to hear them, just hit me up outside, on Lights Monarch, on all socials, and I will talk about it with you, just person to person. I hate leaks. I hate spoilers. I'm not going to be that person to leak what I think about the album, aside from saying that we were able to hear it, and not only were we able to hear it live in person like that, not necessarily live, but in person in a big group with not only the album, but Tyler Joseph himself. He had commentary split up between the tracks to kind of give you like an idea of what each track meant. Not every track had it, but regardless, he did speak here and there. And that in itself brought me right back to reliving the moments of Clancy when he did him and Josh, that point, did the entire live stream for all the music videos. Like, mwah, chef's kiss again. It was so cool to be able to hear Breach early. I won't share anything again, but aside from the fact that it made me a bawling mess for what it stands for and what the story, how it ended and how I interpreted said ending. Amazing. And I'll leave it at that. Amazing, tear-jerking, so many emotions. I'm thrilled. And I gotta say, Breach is going to be one of those albums that I need to have on repeat, and I wish I had access to it. I'm not about to reach out to anyone on Twitter or anything and try to get the leaked versions. I'm not about that. Anyone sharing leaked versions and stuff, fuck you, to be honest. Like, come on. Let the shit just go when it's supposed to. Like, I have no respect for people that leak shit, but that is a tangent that I'm not about to get into in an episode this long. But all the same, insane to hear it. I was very happy. I ended up getting the Breach listening party little bracelet. It's yellow and black, alongside a poster, which is exclusive to the event. Both are. And I was lucky enough, because we were, I believe, fourth in line, to be able to get one of the picture discs. And I don't know exactly how limited they are. I'll have to look that up after the album comes out, because I'm kind of keeping away from the internet from Breach. I don't even really want to hear what people think about it quite yet, because I want to make my own interpretation after I give it the proper listenings and settlement, let it settle for me. And then I'll see what everyone else is saying, because it means so much to me, this band and this album, and the fact that the story is finally over. I want to process it myself. And maybe that's a little weird, a little strange, but I do want more of it. I want it injected into my veins, if you will, but I'm going to be patient. And patience isn't that hard to come by, because it comes out on Friday. It's not that long of a wait. Anyone that can't wait and is needing to listen to the streams, please rethink your actions and support the band in the proper way. Like, even if you are buying the album after, I guess, you do you. But I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way, and I'll leave it at that. Now, to kind of end off, to say, and reiterate anyways, that this trip, it was magical. And I really couldn't ask for more. Crystal, thank you. I know you're probably listening to this, so thank you so very much for such an experience, and I honestly can't even fathom the words that I want to say, but it's been everything. Again, the trip of my lifetime, and I wouldn't have expected all of the things to have happened that did, and from, again, the music, the things that we were able to find and able to do, like, it was just magical. And I was able to make many core memories for myself, and they were created with you and even without, and I'm just forever grateful, eternally grateful, and truly humbled by this trip and its entire experience. To end on this note, though, to the listener, everyone listening, if you're made it this far, thank you again. I really appreciate it. But if there's somewhere you want to go, be it a band you want to see or a thing or a place you want to experience, just go and do it, man, because you've only got this one life and it's time to go start living it. Thank you for listening, and thank you for discovering the music within.